God.
Elliot said we didn't land on the moon. He went off about Lee Harvey Oswald being the CIA. It was my 5-year-old's.
Dude, Elliot
based.
is educated.
He's based, bro. Yeah, he's in some weird accounts on Instagram.
Goodness gracious.
I'm just like, all right, do you want to go get Chick-fil-A or what?
Oh gosh.
So we've been rolling with the camera for a minute now. We could have been rolling for 30 minutes. We've been sitting here just hanging out talking.
Yep.
3 buddies here today. Mr. Corey Cott, American actor and singer, I'm hearing.
That's right.
Haven't heard you sing. We gotta break that out sometime.
Okay.
But
Sweet.
yeah, no
Let's
doubt.
do the theme song for Wild Willies.
Well, I was gonna say, can we put you on the spot and do a new Wallen song?
New Wallen song.
Yeah.
What's a newer one? Oh. I've been throwing down the whiskey.
There you go.
Yes.
I'll give my money back.
And he's not even country, guys.
No.
That is
That's
so
that's a
fire.
Broadway version of that.
Not even country.
That is,
I can't even get him in boots. I've been trying for a year and a half now, and he won't do it.
I'm going to get some boots. Reluctantly. Got to get some Red Wings.
Yeah. We went to sushi like a year ago, and I wore my Stingray boots. You remember those things?
I do remember those things.
Kelsey thinks
Unfortunately.
Kelsey does not like them, and she kind of swayed Corey to not like them either.
They lit up the whole restaurant. They were so bright.
They're so nice, though. I'm definitely taking them up to Nashville in a couple weeks.
Oh, you
I
better.
saw Co Wetzel posted a picture on Instagram, and he had some like rolled up jeans and some Stingray boots that looked like mine, and I was like, yeah, definitely going with that same.
You're taking
vibe.
credit for that?
No. I'm saying I'm going to go for the same look when I'm up there.
Okay.
You got to fit in when you're in Nashville.
Nashville's getting fancy, man.
it is.
It is, but I'm not going to dress like this to Nashville. No offense.
Yo, this
Just
is...
do your thing with your flavor. You know.
We're going to Kane Brown up there. I'm taking.
You gotta wear the hat though.
Oh yeah,
You
no
definitely
doubt. I'm
gotta-
taking Neal's cowboy
You
hat
gotta
up
rock
there to
the
Nashville.
rock the hat.
The black cowboy hat, that fits.
Yeah, with the Stingrays.
But
You know what, Jesse? You do you.
before we get started, so y'all two have been the Chucks together.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
And the daggum, so Corey and I, we're like 2 miles down the road from each other, 3 miles.
Yeah.
And I haven't been to the golf simulator yet.
Yeah, you gotta come over, man.
Yeah, we gotta get the tripod back. We gotta get the 3 of us.
Let's do it.
It's kind of the talk of the town right now. Like Jake just stopped us to talk about the simulator.
I do have a golf simulator, and it's pretty fire.
Yeah,
I gotta
it is.
say. And you're welcome to come anytime you want, Neal. Anytime.
Dude, we got to.
Even if I'm not there.
I'm right. No, I'm coming with you. I gotta wait till you're there.
I've extended that invite. Many friends have already done it without me there because I've been like, listen, it's here. So,
Yeah.
and if
didn't
you
know
had
that
one
was-
and you weren't there, I'm going to be in there.
You're gonna be
So,
there.
Yeah.
I
It's
didn't know that was
legit.
an option.
Come on over, bro.
I will now.
I'll give you the key. Just you break it, you buy it.
Yeah.
So since we're all good friends here, I want Jesse to introduce. Tell our viewers what we got going on.
Where do I start? Corey, so Corey came in one day. He was dealing with another salesman, and luckily didn't get to keep working with that salesman. No, I'm just kidding. But sold him a Gladiator. He was with his brother. Got to meet them, talk to him about what they do and everything. And Corey's being super low key about it. He was just like, "Oh, I'm in what'd you say, production."
I think I said I'm in the entertainment industry.
Yeah, I'm in the entertainment industry. And I was like, so what's that mean? He's like, I do some like production, stuff like that. And I was like, okay, all right. Like, what do you do? And he's like, well, I'm an actor. And then Casey was like, oh, I'm an actor too. And I was like, okay. So now we're getting somewhere. So then we struck up a friendship, started talking about Hex a lot. And then sold him a Gladiator, sold Meg her Expedition, and then just kind of struck up a friendship that way.
Yeah.
And then we played a lot of golf before our daughter was born. A lot of golf.
We did.
And
We've played some since too.
yeah, but not much.
Not as much.
It's been tough. Like he texted me like 2 weeks ago. Was like, can you play Monday? And I was like, there's not a shot. I'm even gonna ask Kelsey if I can play on Monday.
You got to pick your battles right now.
Yeah, you got to
That's
pick your
right.
battle. So I
That's
just kind
right.
of got to shoot him down on, let him down easy, but it's okay. So that being said, decided we would want to do a podcast with
No
him.
doubt.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Three boys, right?
I got 3 boys. Yep.
2 of them are younger. or-
They're 5, 3, and 1.
okay.
Yeah.
So you're kind of still in that mix of
Oh yeah.
pick your battles because there's a lot of responsibility when they're that young.
100%. Yeah, every day is an adventure, as I say, and we have figured out how to split up the responsibilities pretty well at this point. But it's still one thing after. I mean, like my 3-year-old just will not go number 2 on the potty. Although I will say this week, I think we've hit a turning point. Huge
Making
week
progress.
in our house, like 3 days in a row. Not 4, unfortunately. The 4th day fell apart. Not how we wrote it up. We wrote it up like this is the new era. But
how long does it take to get them trained to go by themselves?
This is a very touchy question you're asking, Jesse. Yes, depending on who you talk to, they'll give you a very convicted answer.
He may have been prepped with questions. Possibly, I don't know.
Okay, sure.
Before this,
throw 'em at me.
I'm not sure.
You better sling those questions at me, Jesse.
Yeah, I'm gonna need some help. We're luckily not at that stage yet, but I can't imagine what it's gonna be like.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm ready. I got my mind ready, bro. Yeah, it takes. I mean, some people will say it takes like. I mean, my first son took like a month or 2. We started Nolan like 9 months ago. So,
oh wow!
I will say though, we've kind of been a little chiller with him. Like it's that middle child thing is a very real thing. At least we've experienced it, where it's like,
middle child, right?
You get whatever, you get to it.
Yeah, you're kind of neglected because you get the younger one, you get the older one.
I mean, it's sad, but
I've always heard that the girls catch on to do those things easier, faster than boys. So maybe you'll have.
I think they're a lot smarter.
They definitely are. Yeah. They advance a lot quicker, or a lot smarter. So I mean, I wouldn't know because I have 3 boys, but a lot of our friends have girls, and I've noticed that.
Well, I got a boy and a girl, so I'll come to you with the boy
compare
advice.
And contrast. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's even though he's like 2.5 months old, it's still different way of like raising them. It's just different, dude.
Oh yeah.
It's different. It's a lot of fun though.
Yeah, I mean we have wrestling matches basically every night before bed.
Love it.
And I know if we had a girl, I don't know if she'd participate. Maybe she would.
Does Asher get in there?
Oh yeah, bro. Dude,
Asher's a hoss.
He is.
Is he?
Asher's my youngest. He's 1. He barely can walk, and he gets destroyed by Nolan.
But he's in the mix though. He's in the mix.
Oh, he's in the mix for sure.
Nolan just doesn't care.
I mean, Nolan's usually the first to cry, so it's. I mean, there's tears almost every night, but it's like necessary, it's like good tears. It's like, well, you got to learn if you're going to learn to wrestle, you got to learn to know when to stop,
Yeah, we're raising men in this house.
Yeah, there's an unbelievable amount of energy at all times. That is the biggest thing right now. It's just like we are so exhausted. So
deep,
but it's great. It's great. Yeah.
So were you born in Ohio?
Mm-hmm. No, I was born in my dad was
Mississippi.
Mississippi.
Okay.
Yep. My dad was in the Air Force, so I was born Mississippi. We traveled a bit when I was a little kid, and then we settled in Michigan. So I lived in Michigan for 10 years, and then we moved to Ohio. I was in Ohio for like 8 years. Went to college in Pittsburgh, and then I moved to New York City, and I lived there for like 9 years ish. And then COVID took us out of the city, and then we landed here in 20.
What made you pick Oconee County, Georgia?
So COVID sort of not forced, but just made everything a lot more remote for my work, and so I could be based anywhere. We didn't really know where to go. We knew we didn't really want to be based in the city of New York. We thought about living maybe outside the city in Jersey or Philly or a few of those places. And then once we realized that I can kind of be based anywhere and go back up there for work if I have to, that opened up our mind to like, oh, we can go anywhere. And so we started thinking about, well, we could, my parents and a lot of my family, a lot of friends in Florida. But then we thought through that, and it didn't really fit what we wanted to do. It's more of a vacation place for us. And so then one of my really good friends is from Oconee, went to UGA. He was Harry Dog at UGA. And we've been best friends since, 2013, really good friend. And he's a film director and a writer. And he moved back here in 2018. And so he'd always been telling us, you guys got to move down to Georgia, move to Atlanta. And Atlanta's been on the up, like the rise in production for the past 15 years, just because the tax credit's so competitive in Georgia. And so I knew there's a ton of production, a ton of shows. And I mean, half the stuff that I was auditioning for and going out for was shot in Atlanta. And so it was a combination of all that, as well as my buddy who's from Oconee, his name's Matt. We just decided to form our own production company. So me and him and then one other guy, Steve, who still lives in New York, we formed our own production company with the plan to sort of bring Hollywood-ish or bring production really to Athens, to this area. And so we really want to make film and TV and produce it in Georgia and edit it in Georgia and finish it in Georgia and distribute it in Georgia. And so it was a combination of all of those variables, as well as just the cost of living is just so much cheaper here. And it was sort of, once we thought through all of those things, we were like, this is good for us. And I don't know if we'll be here forever, but for now it's great for the kids, and to have a yard and all of them have a room for the same price I could get a studio bedroom for, and
exactly
in New York City.
All the Oconee County residents think the opposite. They're like, man, it's so expensive to live in this county.
Sure.
They don't have a good, I guess, perspective of what you've seen up north and stuff.
Yeah, I should go live in New York for a month. Yeah.
Whether you enroll them in a private school, there's like 5 unbelievable private schools, or the Oconee County school system.
Best school district in the country, or in the state, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My wife's a teacher in it, went there too. So
Amazing.
Just a great county it's got that rural atmosphere, but you're still close enough to Athens or Atlanta, wherever you need to get.
That's the thing. It's like we're technically in the country, but it feels really nice to be proximity wise so close to a college town that's not just an awesome college town, but a town that's kind of like in the zeitgeist right now. Like it's on everyone's minds. Football is obviously the main reason, but I think Athens. Another reason I really liked this area was just the opportunity that I saw here. I think there's a lot of opportunity that's over the next 10, 15 years is gonna be really exciting to be a part of. Whether it's whatever industry, it could be real estate, it could be film production, like we're wanting to do, it could be anything else. But like I just see it. Like I can see there's this hunger for this area, and the opportunity seems to be growing. I mean, I'm sure you guys have experienced it here.
It's thriving. Or just when, 17 years ago when I first met my wife, we would go play golf at Lane Creek and drive by mine in your house and be like, man, this is the middle of nowhere. And now it doesn't feel that way.
Yeah.
Just, you still feel you're out in the country, but you're not, it doesn't feel that way as much because in proximity, you got everything that you need.
Yeah. It feels more like a typical suburb, it's moving that way. Yeah.
So really, really cool
aspect
from that. And then like Athens has always had that, a lot of artsy culture in Athens. A lot of music started in Athens, and then I think the studio aspect would be really good too.
Yeah, I mean, like even from a culinary standpoint, from a music standpoint, from an art standpoint, it seems like it's kind of I've heard it's been called the creative hub of the state in a lot of ways.
No doubt.
I know Savannah's got a lot of creativity there, especially for production and art. But to me, it feels like a great place to be a part of and almost rise with it as it continues to ascend and make it. I mean, the Peabody Awards, I'm sure you've heard of those. I mean, they're some of the most prestigious film awards every year, and they're sponsored by UGA, So just little things like that. Their network is so robust with the greater entertainment industry at large that I've actually had some opportunities here that I would have never had if I had stayed in New York or LA.
Really? People
I've gotten to meet here, that I would have never gotten to meet by staying out there. Because it's a small town in the sense when you compare it to, Chicago or New York or LA or whatever. But the draw here is just acute. Like the people want to come and hang out here. And so it makes it almost more accessible to be able to meet the heavy hitters in this area because it's a desirable place, but there's just not as many people.
Right. So, and it's kind of like a love-hate thing of everyone from the metro Atlanta area trying to move to our county. People are like, don't Gwinnett our county.
Right. They want to preserve the charm of it and the expansive country feel of it.
So it's just a balance of not getting too big to where it feels like another small Atlanta, but keeping that hometown feel to it.
That's right. Yeah.
Really important.
Yeah.
So would you create something in the Athens area or would you create it in the Oconee area?
I mean, we live in Oconee. When anyone asks me where I live, I say Athens just because that seems to be, that's the thing most people know, and so it'd be an Athens-based entity, or it's an Athens-based entity. Yeah. Athens-based company. Just from a PR perspective, people just know that a lot better and can associate that. They can connect that to the school, or they can connect that to the town, or they can connect that to the music. A lot of people, when I tell them that, they're like, oh yeah, REM and, the B-52s and all those bands started there. And so there's a point of reference. Most people know Athens. So it seems a little easy. I mean, and sometimes I just say Atlanta because in a way we're still Metro Atlanta, even though we're now outside it. But then they say, oh, where in Atlanta? I'll say Athens. Oh, I know Athens. So yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tell the viewers so Broadway was your big start initially. Tell us a little bit about your experience in that. What you've been on. What was your first role?
Yeah, so I went to school for acting and musical theater and studied there for 4 years at Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh. And then right out of school, I got cast as Jack Kelly in Newsies, Disney's production of Newsies, which, if you've seen the movie, is a Christian Bale movie. When he was one of his first movies he did when he was 18, and Bill Pullman, a few other great actors are in it. But it's funny because the movie was sort of this flop when it first came out, famously, and then since then it really grew to be this sort of cult classic. Yeah. And because of that, the show became a hit. There was just this huge demand for this show on Broadway. And so anyways, when I was a senior, it was starting to happen, and I saw it was being developed, and then it opened on Broadway this month, actually, in 2012, so 11 years ago. And I auditioned for it in my senior year of college, and I didn't even get a call back because I just was too green. I just wasn't ready for it. And then 6 months later, I came back in and auditioned for it again, and it went a lot better that time. And I was just in a much better place mentally and vocally, and I was just more ready for it. I needed 6 months more of work and experience and technique and stuff. So I got cast in that about a month after graduating from college, and I did that for 2 years. So at first I was I don't know if your listeners would know about how this works, but there's the main cast that you watch that's sort of like the starting team, right? And then there's the understudies who are sort of the backups. So I was cast as what's called a standby. So some big roles on Broadway, like the main girl, Elphaba, and Wicked, a lot of the big roles, they have a standby. So basically it's someone at any moment that's backstage that if the main person has to call out and not do it, they get to go on. So I was the Jack Kelly standby for a month, and then the guy who was playing him decided to leave and go do another show, and I replaced him. And so I did that for 2 years, and then that was a great experience. Broadway's really hard. It's 8 shows a week. It's it depends, but we had a Thursday off, so we had 1 day off. And then, and doing that for 2 years. It was amazing because I was young and I was 22 and I had just gotten married and I didn't have any money and I didn't have any life experience. So I got just thrown into this world. So it was something I've always wanted to do. I knew from a little 14, 13, I wanted to be on Broadway. So
I was wondering that. So from a young age, you kind of knew that's what you.
Yeah, basically since I did my first show when I was in 8th grade. I grew up in church and did church plays and stuff. But then in 8th grade, I did a production of Les Mis, a community production of Les Mis in Pepper Pike, Ohio. And then I was bit by the bug, and I just wanted to be on stage and tell stories and sing and act, and I just loved it. It was like my thing. I played sports too, but sports I was always extremely average in every sport I played. I never got cut from a team, but I basically would never play. So, and sports if you're in that position, sports, they're just not that fun. It's just I don't want to ride the bench. So
you gotta work, doing all that hard work and not seeing the field much.
Exactly. It's just not. Again, I played team sports my whole life, or at least until middle of high school. But for me, I'd never felt like my skill and my talent and my contribution to the team ever really mattered until I was doing plays and stuff. And so all of a sudden I was like, oh, this is cool. And also I was, most guys don't do that. So it was me and a bunch of girls, which was awesome. And so I just started doing a bunch of that, and then as many plays as I could, and took voice lessons and acting lessons and all these things. And then, so went to college, did Newsies for 2 years, and then since then I've just kind of jumped around to many different shows. I did a revival of a musical called Gigi, which is based on a movie from the 50s. And it was me and Vanessa Hutchins that did that together, and it was a really fun experience. And then basically right after that, I jumped into a show called Bandstand, which is an original musical that we developed over the course of a couple years, and that opened on Broadway in April of 2017. And that had about a 6-month run. And the cool thing with that show is that we got to shoot it. They brought in a bunch of cameras and shot it like a movie. So there's what's called a pro shot of it. So it's a World War II musical about a bunch of World War II vets come back from the war. They're struggling with PTSD and just all the loss that they experienced there. They decided to form a swing band to compete in this national songwriting competition. And so it's kind of like the American Idol of the 50s or late 40s. And so it's a very patriotic musical. So every Veterans Day or Memorial Day, a streaming company will usually stream that show. And it was a really cool thing. We partnered with a lot of veterans organizations and got a lot of vets to come in and actually instruct us about the truth of the show and what was correct and what was not correct, and got to pick their brains on how we can be as truthful as possible to this material and not diminish it, but make it feel right and true. And so that was a really amazing experience. And then since then I've just been doing, I kind of pivoted to television. I've done a lot of television.
Law and Order,
both of them.
Chicago Med. And a little plug for this Sunday.
Yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, this Sunday I actually have a plug. That's cool. Yeah, if you watch The Equalizer, I'm on The Equalizer this Sunday night with Queen Latifah. Yeah, she's awesome. She's really great.
Really?
But we had a great time. Yeah, I think it'll be a really cool episode. Really cool episode. Yeah, I play this guy who, you meet him and he's completely lost his memory. He has no clue what's going on, and he's disheveled and was found in a dumpster. And the episode sequences all the events that led up to him being in this dumpster. And there's guns and there's murders and there's lots of different things all crammed into one episode of Sunday night TV. So
the past 2 characters you've played have both had memory
loss. My Chicago Med character lost his memory too. Yeah. For different reasons than this guy. This guy actually got hit on the head, and that's why he lost his memory. But yeah, I know. I don't know what that is.
So that's this Sunday, the 19th, March the 19th.
Yep.
You know what that means, Jesse? Be some late nights editing. I gotta get this thing edited.
Yeah, dog.
No problem.
What would you say the transition from Broadway into musicals to television was like? Because it's got to be a whole different atmosphere of acting.
Super different. I did my first TV job right after Newsies closed in 2014. And I always knew I wanted to be on camera like that. That was something as a little kid, I always wanted to do movies. And me and my friends would make movies all the time for fun. On the weekends, we never would go to parties. We would just we had our own production company called Worm Farm Productions, like ant farms, like the joke in Dumb and Dumber. He's like, I got worms. So that was and we would just make videos on the weekend, make these movies. And for school projects, we'd always be like, hey, could we petition to make a movie for this instead of writing an essay? Because I think it would be a lot better. A lot of times our teachers were like, yeah, sure. So always wanted to do movies. So it's been a good transition. I would say creatively, there's nothing like being, I think probably any live performer would say there's nothing like being in front of an audience. It's just so compelling and captivating, and the energy is palpable, and it feels real and visceral, and you get the response from the audience, and there's nothing like a joke landing and you get a huge laugh from the audience, and then there's just this momentum of energy that just carries you through, and it's the same. It cuts the other way too when the thing isn't landing and it feels like it's dry. There's two. Someone once said this to me. There's 2 ways an audience responds. They either laugh or they cough. And so there's that feeling. It's almost like a Family Guy moment when there's an awkward silence and you just hear that it's like, oh shoot, that did not go well. That vibe is just as real as the exciting, energetic vibe. So you don't get that on television, because you have your crew's there, and you can sense a vibe that when something's going well and connecting with the other person. But at the end of the day, it's the editor and the director who decide how that looks. I mean, if you're editing this podcast, you get to shape it however you want. Yep. It's the same way in TV and film. So there's this idea that the theater's the actor's medium, and the film and television is a director's medium because they get to shape it at the end of the day, whatever the audience sees. So they're both exciting and they're both cool in a lot of ways. I would, like I said, creatively being on stage in front of an audience every night is so amazing. I would say for film and television though, there's just a lot more money involved, so there's just a lot more volume. It's a lot easier to make, get an ROI in a film and television project, and it's just so much easier to distribute. I mean, especially now with YouTube and all these different mediums we have of being able to share something, it's just so much easier to make something and get people to watch it. So there's just a lot more jobs available in film and television. But technically it's a different thing. I mean, film is just a lot smaller, and it's a lot closer and more intimate and nuanced. So you have to be aware of where the camera is at all times. Whereas on stage, if you're trying to fill a room with 1,300 people, you have to technically know how to do that and make it work and make it believable without pushing and doing all these different faces and stuff to make it seem big. It's just a very technical thing. So it just takes experience, but yeah, I like both for different reasons. But I do miss the theater. It's been a minute since I've been on stage.
Is there a possibility of getting back in the theater?
There's nothing material right now, but I would in a heartbeat if
someone approached you with a script or something.
Oh yeah, if it was the right thing. I mean, it's tricky now because you have to be based wherever the show is. It's not like film and TV where I can go do a thing and then come back here. I have to move to wherever the theater is, if it's in New York or wherever it is. But I would love to do something. I'd love to work. There's a couple really good theaters in Atlanta. There's the Alliance Theater, and there's a couple other ones. I would totally do that if it was the right thing. But yeah, there's not been anything that has quite piqued my interest quite yet. So, but I know there will be at some point. Yeah. From
my end, just in the short time I've been doing this, it's really rewarding if you're a creator, if you're a creative person, to know that you're capturing people's attention and you're bringing them laughter or joy. Yeah. That's really awesome because it's so hard to capture people's attention these days.
Oh yeah.
If you can get someone to sit down and watch something that you do and they get some sort of pleasure or positivity out of it, that's something that just builds you up as a man,
Well, for sure. And I mean, yeah, attention span's a really fascinating thing in this new age of shorts and reels and things like that. Like most people, I have a friend whose wife sells, she has a clothing company, and he was telling me last night, if they don't post a reel for, I don't know, a few days, they'll see their sales drop off that fast, just because that's the way. I mean, that's more purely marketing than attention span, but even the way you do it now, the long form content is it's shifted. You need to capture people with this swipe right, swipe right, swipe left generation that they can tell in a second what they want to stick to. And isn't it the most important part of your video or reel is the first 4 seconds in order to capture it?
Yeah. Maybe the first 2.5 seconds.
Right, sure. And you have to have the right thumbnail. And I read Mr. Beast spends $30,000 on his thumbnails to make them make sure that they're right. Captivate people. That's crazy. Wild.
Really is. But it's that important at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Make sure you get them to stick around to see what the rest is going on.
For sure. Yeah.
But for stuff like what you do, I mean, obviously I've seen they'll take a excerpt of your Law and Order episode and put that into a reel, and then that draws interest to watch the long term.
Yeah, that's right. That's the way it's done now. It's I mean, to be in marketing pre-social media and now, I can't imagine the shift in strategy that's been required for all these companies. But yeah, it's crazy what the way that people think about content and the way they think about entertainment in a digital media way is fascinating. Now, I'm a consumer too, so I know what I stick to and watch. I know what I want to watch on Instagram and what captivates me. But I also love really good acting and really good, performances, and also really good television shows. So I'm down to sit down for a few hours at a time and sit through something. But I've noticed even my kids, we try not to give them a ton of screen time, but even with a movie, it's interesting to watch them try to stick through it. It's got to be either a very, very good story with music or it's got to be something like these Spidey shorts, like the animated Spider-Man show. They love that show, and they came out with one that's just Spider-Man shorts. They're 3 or 4 minutes long, and they love those ones. Yeah, they love those ones as opposed to the 30-minute show because it's just a lot shorter and gets to the point a lot faster.
But we've done that to our own selves. Because when we were growing up, I mean, we got the 20-year-old crowd, but we're in the 30s here.
Yeah.
When we were growing up, it wasn't a problem to sit around and see how good a 2-hour movie was going to be.
No. And I mean, they do that too, but I just wonder how that's going to shift in the next 15 to 20 years, if there's going to be such thing as a 2-hour movie, you know?
Right.
I mean, I have some producer friends in New York who are just kind of like selling a show, a live theater show that's 2.5 hours long with an intermission is a tough sell. Yeah, like find a way to get it into a 1-act where there's no intermission. You can go there see it be there at 7:00 and you're done by 8:30 and you go get a drink afterwards or whatever it is.
Or some of these movie series that have become a series. Yeah. It's one movie that they've strung out
in 10 episodes.
Yeah, 10 episodes.
Right.
But if you do that, how do you affect the quality of the show?
Yeah, that's kind of the catch-22 is like, what is this worth sacrificing this time in order to get? Is this going to actually make the piece better, or is it just going to make it faster? And maybe that's better. Maybe ultimately faster is better. But maybe it's not. Like, I think there's going to be, I mean, those mistakes are made probably all the time. But how many times have we gone to see a movie and been like, it's way too long?
Yes.
Like, they could have cut so much of
it out of it.
And I think that a lot of times that could be true. But other times it's like there's so many egos involved with a process like that they're unwilling to let go of something for the sake of what an audience is going to like and enjoy, you know? It's a very fascinating conversation that I think it ultimately comes down to a lot of subjective opinions that just have to do with that exact thing of quality or quantity or like pace. Yep. Pace is a huge thing too.
Just in the past 10 years for me in the automotive industry, I was the type that I wanted to include every possible clip that I could.
For sure.
Now it's like, how much fat can I trim out of this? Like, is that really necessary, or, you know?
I'm going to butcher this, but I heard recently that the most recent Fast and the Furious movie has like a record for the shortest, like the most amount of cuts in a movie or something like that. And I think each cut, like the longest cut isn't longer than like 10 seconds or something like that. Yeah. Again, I don't know what the specifics are. Don't fact check me on that, but the way that those kinds of movies, especially action movies, are going to continue to be cut and made is going to be like boom, 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 boom. I mean, they're in a way they're already built for that, but like even now with the attention span of like, oh, this shot is way too long. It needs to be cut, and it's only like a 6-second shot, cut down to 4 seconds or 3 seconds. Because you can accomplish. I mean, I've noticed in what you do, you can accomplish what you need to show pretty fast.
Yeah, but to me, it's important to be to jump on trends, to predict trends.
Right.
If I can get ahead of a trend early, then it really helps, you know, my engagement and of course the business it brings us.
Right.
So it's very important. So I'm having to creatively think differently based on what the current.
What's like a trend? What's one trend that you're like working on or that you're trying to apply?
So just starting with you wouldn't believe.
Oh, sure.
You know?
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe how well this truck drives on a 6-inch lift, or you wouldn't believe what I can fit in the back of this bed. Just stuff that's sparking interest to make, and there again, that's going back to those first few seconds. What can I say or do to make them want to stick around to see what's going on?
Or even your TikTok, like one of your most viewed TikToks is you coming around the corner showing that Bronco with a Kanye song, no words, 5 seconds long, and it was like most viewed ones.
Yeah, I try to spend at least 30 minutes every day of just watching, being a consumer and watching other people's things. That way I can hopefully predict what's next to come in the segment.
Talking about like, this only costs this. Have you found that like money is a thing that people care about? Like for me, that's something that when someone's like, I spent $10,000 on my truck and it got me this or something, or whatever it is that
a lot of times if we do a customer build, it's like a $3,500 thing. It's like a leveled on 35 package for $3,500. That's like, okay, that
makes sense.
That gets their attention.
Yeah, for sure. That would get my attention.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I want to see it.
Yeah. So it's not so much of just the informational, this is what this is. It's a catchy slogan that'll spark their interest to click on that.
Yep.
So really cool. So let's talk about the Jeep Gladiator. How have you enjoyed it so far? We got a little Wild Willie action too.
Got some Wild Willie action. Yep.
37s.
Got some 37s on there. Some KO2s.
Bronze fuel wheels.
Got some bronze fuels on there.
The Tech. Fuel Tech. 17, 37. Yep. He's legit.
Yep. Yeah, we decided to stay with the 17s. Actually, I like a lot. Got some runners on there. And got
Fox shocks.
Kept the Fox shocks.
That
was the reason I went with the 4-inch, the Ready Lift. Yeah, it was because it kept the Fox shocks and with the Mojave. By the way, when I first came in, I knew nothing about anything. I knew it was like manual or automatic. That's basically all I knew. So I have had to get a bit of. There were many times I called Jesse and was like, "Hey, what does this mean? What's a 35 versus a 37 tire?" So in New York, we're not driving at all, let alone driving lifted trucks.
The most important thing is the shocks that came on your Jeep factory are the most advanced shocks ever put on a Jeep.
Yeah.
And it's important to keep that.
And they come stock with it, which is really cool.
Stock with it. And they're made to mitigate high speed articulation over different types of terrain. So just for the everyday drive, it does a great job too.
Oh yeah. I had a buddy in last week and he's had trucks and Jeeps and stuff and we were driving down the road going like 55 or 60 and he was like, "Man, for this to be lifted and have 37s, this drives so nice." And I was like, "Yeah, I've gotten it up to 90. I'll get it up to 90 going to the airport or something like that and it feels amazing." Oh yeah.
You got to.
Oh yeah. It feels great. I love it. I took the doors off for the first time 2 weeks ago. Man, it was just so great. I love it. It's fantastic. It's
great. Yeah,
this week you got to put them doors right back on.
Yes, I did. But I got my garage. Since I got my garage now, I could park it in there with the doors off.
That's nice.
But yeah,
there'll be a period where they'll stay off for a while though. This spring,
I can't wait.
Early summer, it'll be epic.
Cannot wait. I might want to.
Love it.
I've heard. The guys at Wild Willie suggested I might need to re-gear it at some point. But
it would help.
Yeah,
it would help. It's not something that's a must do, but it would give you multiple benefits.
Yeah,
if you did do it.
Yeah,
if you plan on keeping it for a while, that's not really a return you're going to get back on doing that. So it's just how long you go keep it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't know. There's something. I'm also like talk about attention spans. Like I'm always kind of thinking and jump. I've talked to Jesse about it. I'm like, man, should I get a Raptor?
I was about to say that. I knew the Raptor was going to come up.
Should I get a Raptor?
I thought Pops was going to jump on one when he was here too, though.
Yeah. So Pops ended up. He decided to get a Mercedes, a new. Is it like the GL3 or whatever? GLE. Yeah. He's kind of. He was into the Raptors. There was a minute where I thought he was going to do the Raptors too, or get a Raptor, but. He just like now that they live in Florida, he doesn't need the truck as much as he needed up in PA when he had 9 acres and was hauling around stuff, and he's just driving it on the street now.
Your dad's got a whole different vibe to himself. Meeting him first impression was really good.
Yeah, that's cool.
Swagged out.
That's what I say. It's like in my mind, I'm going to be like him when I get older.
Me too.
That's what I want to be. I don't want to be the old man phase. I want to be cool.
Yeah, he's been put through the ringer, but he's an awesome guy. Yeah, I hope I'm like that when I'm his age too.
Yeah. Very supportive of your whole of you and your brother growing up.
Yeah, very supportive of all three of us. Yeah, so I have a sister too who's killing it, and has worked in a bunch of different wonderful companies and in multiple roles, and she's amazing. Her and her husband live in Nashville, and my brother and his wife are about to move to Nashville, and my parents have always been super supportive of us. They and that's something I teach a lot, and I work with middle school and high school kids a lot, college kids, and I always tell them, and a lot of times their parents will be present, and I say my parents were always extremely supportive of whatever we wanted to do, and not without warning us of the risks of it. We were always very aware of. Specifically me with acting, that it's an unstable business and it's competitive and there's a lot of unpredictability. It's not going to be an easy climb and it hasn't been. But so they were very aware of that and made us very aware of that. But at the same time, they were also very supportive and made every effort they could to encourage us to do and believed in us, which is tough. It's really tough to believe in your kids that they're going to make it in an industry that is so intense and hard and full of rejection and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, but I gotta commend them. They were always driving us to rehearsals and paying for our voice lessons and acting lessons and all these things, as well as sports. I mean, they supported us in everything we did. So there was very, very few times they said, no, you can't do that, you know? So if any, I don't even know if I can think of any. So I have to give them a lot of credit for sure. And
as we become fathers, that kind of stuff comes to the forefront of the importance of us as men, as the head of the household, as leaders, to make sure we're supported, make sure we're saying the right things to our kids, make sure we're doing the right things, being the proper role model for them, because that's, a part of the problem of our society is there's a lot of homes that don't have fathers in the home. Yeah. So it's just like us growing up with positive impacts in our life.
Yeah.
We easily take it for granted, but it's just good to go back and reflect on, man, we as fathers play a huge role in our children's lives, and just being supportive of them is huge.
Yeah. For 100%.
I think showing them and talking to them about God is our greatest responsibility as a human being, especially but as a father. But yeah, that's and your token, you knew from a young age that you were passionate about acting. Mm-hmm. You knew that's what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
That's still an underlying thing that I think is, some people never really get a grasp of what they truly love or want to do. People kind of meander through life and don't really know what they truly want to go after. So for you, that's a blessing in itself to know at a young age.
Yeah. And it's funny because I've considered, many times going, well, is there, in times of low, like, being low or not knowing what's going to come next or being rejected a bunch, going, man, is there something else I should be doing? And should I think? And then every time I'm steered back, it's like, no, this is your calling. This is what you've been. I will be involved with other things and share my abilities and skills in whatever way and in other ways that aren't just acting. But ultimately, I do believe that's what I've been instructed to do and called to do and created to do. And I can't quit it. Like there's no way I can quit it. It's just in me, So it is a blessing, and I have many friends who don't have that, and I can't really relate to it in a way. Like I can't relate to not knowing what I want to do because I just have always known.
Yeah.
And it's been like without a doubt. I remember being a senior in college going, I'm going to do this. Like there's no other alternative. This is what it is, and I can get rejected every day, but I don't know if you guys watch the Oscars or not, but the actor who won the Best Supporting Award for Everything Everywhere All at Once, I forget his name. He's a wonderful Asian actor, and he was in Indiana Jones as a kid. Anyways, he took a break from acting for like 22 years, and then he just won an Oscar the other night, and his speech was so moving because for 22 years, he thanked his wife at the end, and he said, you never stopped believing in me, and you told me for 22 years every day that your time will come, and just that one, it's a beautiful story because it actually, his time did come.
Yep.
But it was just so cool to hear him rely on his wife that way and that the support system they have together, and just him believing in his career and his calling that like he's going to do it, and it just took a little bit longer than it takes for other people, so.
That's special.
Yeah.
That's special.
Yeah, that's huge.
Sometimes it takes longer, and sometimes people find it towards the end of their life. Sometimes they find it at the beginning. Sometimes they find it in the middle. And sometimes they don't find it, and that's okay too. Like sometimes it doesn't have to be this idea of like this one thing that we're supposed to do, Yeah. It could be a combination of like being a provider for your family and loving your kids and
exactly, yes.
What I don't know, being as positive and excellent in your role at whatever you do is enough. Yep. Not what you're doing necessarily, So
speaking of roles, how important is it to pick good roles to build your reputation as an actor? Because I know we've talked before. You're like, I don't want to take that gig. Like that's,
right.
That's not going to do anything for me.
Yeah, there's this. It's kind of like it applies to any business, I think, or any industry. Like there comes a point where it's like I've paid my dues enough where I don't feel like I have to do that thing. So it ultimately becomes about, well, is the money worth it, or is it creatively fulfilling enough that I can pursue it? Because if those two elements are both not there, it's going to be really tough to convince me to do it. Or I guess the third is sort of baked into the first one, or into the creative one, but if it's someone I want to work with. So if the money's not good, okay, is it creatively interesting? No. Who's involved? Oh, there's some big hitters involved that could potentially, like, you know, be a good network to have. So the idea of your network is your net worth has been in my mind like a lot over the past 5 years, and just shaking as many hands as possible, getting to know as many people as possible, because you just never know, even outside my business, you just never know where the next cool opportunity will come from, or the next supporter of your project. Like, we're trying to finance a bunch of projects right now, and it's like, you just never know who's going to be interested in doing that, you know? So being willing to shake as many hands as possible. So the third one of like, yeah, creatively it's not good, money's not good, but I want to work with those people because that could produce fruit someday. It's got to hit, you know, at least one of those, if not two of those, in order to, you know, further the reputation. But ultimately, reputation too is so much to do about how you work, how you interact with people, as much as it does to do with the roles that you do. You know, I think the perception of the roles that you do pales in comparison to how you treat people and how you work on a set. And that's the first thing anyone talks about. Like, they'll talk like, I've heard so many times, like, yeah, they're brilliant, but they are such a jerk on set, or they're just such a hard person to work with, or they're so just not kind to the crew. And I always like shudder when I hear that, because it does, like, if some, you know, you think about your favorite A-lister, and if someone told you, yeah, but like, they're just terrible, wouldn't that just diminish how you view them? You know,
Definitely.
like, their talent is still talent. They're still really, really good at what they do, but it's also, or any athlete or something, if they're a jerk, it's like, man, I don't want to support that person anymore.
It's
so
almost the opposite thought process of if they were a mediocre actor but a great person, I'm gonna root for them more so
100%.
than if it's the other way around.
100%.
You know,
it really does. It does make everything better to be a kind, generous. And I tell that to students too when I teach them. I mean, there's always going to be people more talented than you, but you can be the most prepared. You can come and you're in control of your preparation, and you can control your attitude. So you can't control other people's talent. You can control your work ethic and your attitude. And so that's how I've found the reputation to be influenced the most. And not that I've been perfect at it in any way, but but I will say roles is important. Like, there comes a point where if you're, you know, sort of doing the same thing over and over and over again, you're gonna, at least for me, I'm gonna be creatively stagnant and feel like I want to do something else that's gonna challenge me and push me out of my comfort zone, and I believe all that. So, I mean, McConaughey talks about it in his Greenlights book. There came a point where he was like, I can't do rom-coms anymore. And he talks about one, I mean, if you have read it, it's a really good book, but he talks about how he got offered this one, and he got offered like $8 million to do it, and he turned it down. And then he got offered like $12 million and he turned it down. And then he got offered like $15 million. And he was like, suddenly that script became a lot funnier when I read that script again. And he ultimately turned it down. And I think that's what's interesting about that story, is that you have to be willing to sacrifice stuff if you're wanting to move on and challenge and grow and just be more of a better creator and a better storyteller. But I think that applies to anything. If you want to grow and get bigger, you're going to have to be outside your comfort zone and at the expense of, I guess, your reputation up until that point. So it's kind of being willing to take the next steps and being risky in that way too. So it's a combination of things, but yeah, there's a bit of that, like the stigma, and some people are comfortable with that, like doing the same sort of thing every time, and it works, you know, and just like, well, if it ain't broke, you know.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, like it's hard to, in any realm, it's hard to see growth or have growth if you're not a little uncomfortable, or you're not kind of outside that.
Yes.
You know,
that's exactly right. I mean, the best analogy for that is physical uncomfortability, you know, like embracing the suck, like all those things that all those guys say. It's real. Like, I found my day is so much better if I'm able to be uncomfortably physical in the morning and then go about my day. It seems like everything pales in comparison to that.
It bothers me if, like, I haven't got to work out today, and I was I was going to this morning, but I didn't get to. But if I don't get that, like, I'm thinking about it right now. I'm thinking about, when I get done with this, how am I going to find time to go challenge myself physically?
Sure.
You know, so getting it done early. You do it too, don't you? You lift in the mornings now?
Yeah. Well, this morning was the first time since the
whenever
baby
you get
was
some
born.
sleep. When you get some sleep.
I texted him this morning at like 6:30. I was like, dog, finally got a pump in.
Yeah.
Like, stoked for the pod today and everything. But yeah, I mean, it really made a difference in my morning instead of like, all right, waking up when the baby wakes up and doing that and then kind of going through the day. It was like, got up at 4:45, got some pre-workout, got to the gym, did what I needed to in that hour, got home, ate some breakfast, got ready, whatever. But it really changes your morning. Like I think I watched a video called The Miracle Morning. Yeah. Hal Elrod. It was called The Miracle Morning. And it was just talking about, like, if you have a good morning or a great morning, your day's going to – I mean, there might be things during your day that suck that you can't control. And that's where he says the 5-second rule. If it's out of my control and I can't change it, I can be mad about it for 5 seconds, but then I move on with my day, know. And I've really tried to implement that in my life, which doesn't always work out. It's something you have to – concentrate on in those moments of like, hey, I'm pissed off, but I really gotta kind of talk myself down. It's fine. I can't change it. Lord's still in control. It is what it is. But going throughout your day, I mean, when I was waking up, working out at 4:30 and then getting here to work, like your day's just completely different. You feel so much better.
It sets the tone for your whole rest of your day. And to me, I'm like, I've already got an advantage over this guy and that guy and that guy. He hadn't worked out. I've already got this and this done, and I'm rolling.
Yeah. No, I'm totally with you guys there. It sort of applies to a lot of things, like talking about like attention span and getting those first few seconds right. Like the first impression or the first moment of anything, whether it's art or a movie or a musical or a podcast or a reel, is really important. It's like setting the tone for whatever you're doing is probably the most important part of that project or that thing. So starting your day and being intentional about your day, it is exactly right. I mean, I feel it too. I stayed up way too late. I don't go to bed past like 9:30 or 10 o'clock these days. But I had friends over last night and went to bed at midnight. And my morning I still got up and worked out, and it was terrible. It was just so terrible because I just wasn't prepared for it from last night. And so in a way it starts the night before, but man, the benefits of getting up and getting a good workout in to set the tone for your day. So important.
And I've kind of looked at it from the standpoint of I'm not going to cheat myself. I mean, because really, if you say the night before, or the day before, or a month before, I'm going to do this for a year straight or a month straight, and then the next morning you don't do it. I mean, you're just like you're sabotaging your own.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yep. Have
you tried the cold plunge yet? Have you seen the trend about the cold plunge?
I have. I've done the cold showers.
Yeah.
I have done a cold plunge before cold plunging was cool. But I haven't done it like recently. During COVID, my parents lived next to a chiropractor, and he had a nitro chamber in his practice, and he let us go in there a bunch of times actually, and that was really interesting because it's the same thing, but you're standing up and there's just this cold air blowing at you, and you have to wear mittens and you have to wear stuff on your extremities because they'll freeze within a few minutes.
Dang.
And so you have to wear stuff like wear gloves and socks, but then you're just in your underwear, and you have a tiny bit of room, but not much because it's complete, and your head's above it. But it's negative, like, I don't know, forget what it is. This sounds crazy, but I feel like it was negative like 50 degrees in there or something like that.
How long do you do it for?
3 minutes. Yeah.
My testosterone levels, I'm 38, are still good, but like as I get older, you start to just think, man, I'm about to be 40 years old. What can I do to combat all the stuff I'm about to be going through? And I've been trying this for like the past month.
Has it helped?
I feel like $1 million.
Cold plunge?
Cold plunge. I feel like $1 million.
Really?
Did you get a tub, or did you do it in your tub at home?
At home.
Okay.
Or I've been getting in my pool also.
Oh.
That's been pretty clutch.
So
like it was like 30.
What he's not saying is he's got a heated pool. All right, it's a warm pool.
What temperatures are you talking about, Neal?
It's like probably in the 40s.
Yeah, that's cold.
Yeah,
that's really cold.
But it was like 20 seconds the first time. I'm up to 3 or 4 minutes.
Really?
Now, and like I get out and I feel so good the rest of the day.
Man. Do you feel like your joints are a lot better?
Yeah, it's like it helps with testosterone. It helps entice brown fat production.
Ah, gotcha.
So it's multiple benefits. Not just for us older gentlemen, but I mean anybody sees benefits from it. You know,
yeah, he just called you old.
I'm getting old.
I'm older than he is.
I turned 33.
33
in a few weeks. Yeah, I'm getting old.
It's all right.
Or is it just you're a baby? Maybe we're not actually not that old.
Yeah, we're in our 30s and his 20s. I mean,
talk about Morgan Wallen. I texted him when his album was released, and I was like, "Bro, you weren't even alive for the '98 Braves."
Because I texted him and I was like, "Yo, did you listen to Wallen's new album?" He's like, "You weren't even alive for the '98 Braves." I was like, "And I still like the Braves. Come on now." And I wasn't alive for the '98 Braves.
Was Morgan Wallen alive for the '98 Braves?
Yeah, I think he's almost 30.
Oh, okay.
Right. Yeah, but like I did ice baths, I guess cold plunge, whatever, when I was powerlifting, and it is so nice.
Yeah,
like you feel so good. It's incredible.
I got to get in that game. Would you fill up your tub with just cold water? Is that what you do? Yeah.
You wouldn't put ice in there?
Yeah, dump some ice in there.
I was getting like big bags of ice and dumping them in there. It got cold, very cold.
I mean, you just turn the water on cold and let it run, and then just all the ice that's in my refrigerator, that's plenty cold for me. I mean, there's people that are doing it a lot colder than I have been, but
a hot shower to me is one of just God's greatest gifts.
Yeah, I get in the sauna a lot too.
Nice.
Yeah,
sauna down here at the Y, I do that a lot.
If I'm gonna take a cold shower, I have got to turn it on warm when I first get in, because like that initial just like, oh
I'm not jumping in
it'll take your breath away, man.
Oh, dude, it's so cold. And then just the rest of it. But
it's mental.
Give it about 10, 15 seconds, and then you're like, all right, this is whatever.
So much of it's mental.
It's just your inner,
training your inner diaphragm or whatever it is, your nerves to just shut up.
Training my inner Goggins, dude.
Just your inner, not best version of yourself telling you got, two little voices in your head.
That's embracing the suck right there.
Dude, yeah. That's
half the
mindset.
world doesn't even get showers, and we're like, dude, cold ones are the worst.
We're so wealthy in America.
On the golf course.
Yeah.
Who we got? Who's going to win head to head?
I think he's got me by a couple strokes.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Most days. I think you've gotten me once.
Yeah, his simulator's so different, though. He'll get me by at least 10 every time we play on the simulator.
But the simulator, that's the thing about the simulator, is that it really doesn't apply in a lot of ways to the course. What it's mostly helped me with is my distances with my wedges, because when you're under 75, you're under like 85 yards, it's all feel. It's not like I know I can hit this club this far. So that's what it's helped me a lot with. Like, I know what my feel is for like a 40-yard shot now that I didn't know before. But basically anything else, course management is you got to play golf on a course to manage that. And also there's gimmies on there, so like your putting's not going to get any better on a simulator.
Right.
But your ball striking, your ball striking could get better if you're just hitting shots every day. That's basically like hitting into a net, and you get the benefits of just showing how far it's going and your spin rate. That's been cool to learn about that, like how to lower my spin rate with my driver. I had no clue what I was sitting at, and my ball speed. Like, I've seen that improve. What
are you sitting at ball speed?
When I'm hitting it flush and hitting it well, like 160, 158, 160. That's when I'm like really gunning.
Yeah, it's nothing to brag about, but yeah, it's not bad.
Wow.
What is I think PGA average is like around, like most of your guys on tour are like going to be in the 160s though. So it's not bad.
No, with driver they're at like 170, 173, 174, something like that.
If it's your top guy, he's probably in the 170s. But I think like Kevin Kisner, those kind of guys, they're probably in the 160s.
With driver?
Yeah, I would think so. Kisner's not.
I would say that's on the lower end.
Kiz isn't a big dude, and a lot of those guys aren't big guys, though.
Right. I know the average like distance off the tee is like 285, 290, something like that, which is not that far.
No, we've hit some bombs before.
Oh yeah, for sure. But doing that every time,
consistent.
Yeah. Doing
that every time is one thing. Doing that every time with the ball shape you want in order to be in the fairway is another thing. And we're a bit like. It's a bit tainted because all they do is show like Rory and all these guys hit 320-yard drives, and so everyone all of a sudden is starting to think like we're trying to. Yeah, it's like Steph shooting threes. It's like everyone wants to shoot threes now, and it's like, no, just play your game. Also, they're pros and they're getting paid millions of dollars.
Yeah,
that's probably the hardest thing is when you're watching it on TV and you're like the shot shape, and then you go out there and you're like, all right, I think I can. This is a dog leg right. I'm gonna try and fade a driver right here, and then it just doesn't fade, or you're like, all right, I'm gonna try and draw it right here, and then it just doesn't draw, and you're like, I don't know where in my brain I thought that I've never been able to do this before, but I'm gonna be able to do it right now.
Me neither.
Because I mean, we'll talk about that. They're like, all right, let's try and hit this shot. Let's try and get it. Let's try and draw it in there and get it to stop right here. And then it never. I mean, very rarely does it ever do what we want it to.
It just looks so natural to them.
It's so hard. Like, it is genuinely the hardest sport I've ever played in my life.
It is so simple to I just want to do this thing I'm telling my body to do to get the ball to do this thing. It's so not hard, and yet it's so hard to actually do that.
It's got to be the biggest love-hate sport ever.
Oh, well, Max,
so many times we say, I'm quitting this, yada,
well, that's what I was about to just say. Max,
I'm so addicted.
The next day, you're right back in there.
So addicted.
Max Homa tweeted the other day, I think it was during the, right before the Arnold or something. He's like, PGA tour guys are one shot away from retiring or one shot away from thinking they can win the Masters.
Yeah,
and that's,
seriously.
I mean, I've hit shots before. I'm probably shooting in the 70s today. And then, you shoot in the 80s or whatever it is. But then you got another shot where you're like, all right, I'm calling it a day. And we're on hole like 4. You're like, this is just terrible. I've already lost 5 golf balls.
Well, it's like Rory at the Players last year. He triple bogey the first hole, and then he goes on to win. Like, that takes mental fortitude.
Big time.
That takes an insane amount of mental fortitude to go, all right, no, I'm good. I can get this back, Or like Justin Thomas at the PGA, where he was down like 7 strokes on Sunday and then he wins. Like, that's just, it's all mental. Golf is freaking best, man.
Well, and if you watch Full Swing, watch it. Koepka talking about his putting yips, pretty much like how mental it was just for him. Like, he couldn't putt forever, and then he missed the cut at the Masters. And did you not see his episode?
Kevin Kisner?
No, Koepka.
Oh, Koepka. Yeah,
Brooks.
yeah. Sorry,
Brooks and Scotty's episode.
Yeah. That was great. Yeah, it was a great episode.
Yeah, not a big fan of Brooks. Scheffler, though.
I got to be honest about Brooks.
Dog.
I got to be honest about Brooks. Like, to go on a Netflix show like that and to be so vulnerable and honest about your mental blocks, like, that takes a lot of courage.
I didn't say it didn't.
Sure.
He's married to a girl from here in Winder.
From Winder, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's cool.
Winder's where you find her.
Is that where you found her?
No, Monroe.
When I was 14, I had a baseball trainer that told me about visualization and how that was such a huge part of the mental aspect of anything.
Right.
And
mind-body connection.
Yeah, and I obviously discounted it for a year or two, but then tried it when I was in a slump in my sophomore year, and it changed everything. So
what would you do?
I was intimidated about being that young in high school and having pitchers that were seniors that were throwing gas, and I couldn't get over they were intimidating.
Sure.
Just the velocity they threw and just them in general.
Yeah.
So I just visualized a pitching machine on the mound and on deck at home. The most benefit was at home. Outside, it was like I'd have a practice session. I would take 30 minutes and do this. But on deck circle, I would not even look at them until I got in the box. But I would just close my eyes and visualize a pitching machine out there throwing perfect strikes every single time, and me taking a perfect swing every single time and just line driving the ball in the opposite field gap.
Man, it's great. Like, I'm convinced that what separates pros from amateurs is their mental fortitude. Yeah, I mean, like, look at. I mean, everyone would say who is the best swing of all time. It's probably like Tiger, right, or one of those guys. And it's like his swing's far. I mean, I'm a nobody, but I'm going to say his swing's far from perfect. And the reason I know that is because he's tinkering with it all the time and hiring swing coaches. And like, how many swing coaches has he had? And it's always a headline. He hires a new one, and he's adding this new element to his swing. And it's because all those guys, their swings are always falling out of form, and they always have to get it back. And what separates them is their capacity to win in that adversity and find a way to like fight through it after they've hit a bad shot. Like, that's what separates those guys.
100%.
And it's and girl, I mean, like, it's crazy to see how they fight through adversity that way.
Big time.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, because the difference from baseball is like you can bat 300 and be in the Hall of Fame, right? And that's, I mean, you're missing a lot of balls there. But like golf, you have to be so consistent every single swing, so consistent.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't take you can't take a pitch off in baseball, but you can, in golf. I mean, you can't take a shot off. In the
Olympics when they were in Atlanta, this was when that was taking place for me, and I remember watching it was the Winter Olympics, maybe that following year, watching a downhill skier was at the top of before they came downhill, and they had their eyes closed and they were doing this, and then their trainer came on later and was talking about they were visualizing the course. And then this weekend, two weekends ago at our 4-wheeler race, there was a pro there that I saw. He was at the starting line. He was doing the same thing.
Really?
I went and talked to him and asked him about it. He said, yeah. He said, it's a part of my routine I've been doing for like 12 years now.
Wow.
So just the mental aspect.
Yeah.
Preparing. Because your mind doesn't truly know that you're not out there actually doing it. If you're visualizing it the correct way, your brain thinks that you're actually out there doing it.
How important is that for auditions and stuff too?
Oh, so important, man. Having control over your mind amidst obstacles you're not prepared for, nerves, whatever it is. Oh my gosh. That whole idea, that construct, I think is what we're actually trying to figure out, is how to master our mind through these things. And it's not always explained that way. And it's thought about more this physical technique of doing whatever this thing is. And if it's golf or if it's acting or whatever it is. And that's important, and there is that physical aspect to it, but ultimately it comes down to your mind, like having control over your mind, so important. And so important in like an imposter syndrome way, like all of a sudden I'm in the room with all these, like you were talking about, like all these seniors or all these pros that I've watched on TV, and all of a sudden I'm acting alongside them, and your mind, it's like you have two versions of yourself almost, like that like angel and demon old cliche is like such a real thing. Like I can sit here in the morning and wake up and go, I'm not going to the gym. I don't want to go. And then there's that other part of you that's like, get out of bed and go. Like
it's the daily battle with
it's the daily battle.
It's the daily battle.
And like that's a real thing too, with like in feeling like you're in rooms you're not supposed to be in or whatever it is. And all of a sudden your mind starts to talk you out of it and go, you shouldn't be here. You shouldn't be here. You should doubt yourself. And it's having control over that part of your mind is so rewarding if you're able to do it. And it takes a lifetime.
You have to embrace it, because every time you level up in whatever niche or category that you're in, every time you level up, you're an imposter. You don't really belong there.
But the lie, or the thing that is so like in a way like a lie, is that everyone else was an imposter too. That like you're
absolutely,
and in a way they're probably still feeling like they're an imposter.
Absolutely. So
and
it's
they've
just
figured out.
Yeah, it's embracing that, knowing that hey, I just leveled up. I know I'm a newbie. I'm an imposter. But how can we get that going and continue?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's always been intriguing to me from an actor standpoint of what you're talking about having to deal with, plus like the memorization of the lines. Like how does that take place?
Memorization, I would say, is like the baseline easiest thing of being an actor. Typically, sometimes there's, if you're doing Shakespeare or something that's pretty advanced or conceptual, or that is in pro or is in verse or whatever, there's some nuances to learning something like that. But I would say in general, there's this old adage that like the better that something's written, the easier it is to memorize, which I think is very true, because I think good writers and good storytellers write in a way that people talk and make it compelling for actors to learn it. So, and I think I've gotten to work on a lot of projects that have been pretty easy to learn. It's not as much the learning the lines as it is making them believable and making the given circumstances of
pitch and tone to present them with.
Well, sure, yeah, but I guess even in a more emotionally interesting way, like what is the given circumstances of this scene that's requiring this delivery or this cadence or this and the way. So I think a lot of untrained actors think about those things like, I need to raise the pitch here. Trained actors think about it like, what is my intention in this scene? So if I'm coming into Neal's office in order to get him to give me his hat for the day, what do I have to do in order to convince him to give me his hat? Am I gonna like, make him laugh? Am I gonna force him to? Am I gonna bribe him? Am I gonna, like having an intention that way? Right. And when you're clear about what that is, a lot of times the words come out a lot more effortlessly, because you're not thinking about how do I say this word? It's what do I want from you? And I'm going to use the words in order to accomplish that. So
I like that.
Yeah. So and I think that applies to like a lot. I mean, we're not always thinking about like what my intention is in this moment, but if I'm if I'm trying to comfort you because you've gone through something hard, I'm gonna find a myriad of ways to use my words to comfort you. So it's more that as opposed to like, I don't know what to do with this word in this line, you know. So yeah, it's just sort of a shit. But here's the other thing: a lot of people just don't. They're just naturally good too. So they just learn the lines and they know how to say it, and you believe it.
Just understanding truly that character and how he genuinely is supposed to attack that. Yeah,
like how, I mean, it works differently for different people. Some people come up with whole backstories and come up with, they write down everything from their character's favorite color to their favorite food to like what happened to them in 5th grade that made them think about this topic that way, all that kind of stuff, which I've done and I think is very valuable. But at the end of the day, you have to let that go and you have to be present in the moment. And so all those things help you and influence you and can shape how you would talk and even move and act and think and, little tics and things like that. But at the end of the day, you also have to be like present with your scene partner and go like, well, we're talking about this thing that's happening right now. And those ultimately are just, things that the audience will never know and never see. That's for my own, development and my own depth with this guy or this girl. So and everyone's process is different with that. You've heard all the legends of, the method actors and all that kind of stuff. And it's just a lot of things work differently for different people. So, yeah. Yeah.
Do you and your brother talk a lot? Y'all?
Oh yeah.
Does he offer you advice or vice versa?
For sure. Yeah, for sure. We talk about the business all the time. Yeah. I mean, he's been in a pretty cushy situation being on a hit show for 7 years. So he's done a few other projects in that time, but most of his work has been doing that. And the genre of network television, as opposed to like a film or a streaming show like or something like on HBO, like those are all very different genres that require different perspectives as an actor of how you approach the tone and how those shows are written. And network shows have commercials, so pace is super important because there's not a lot of time to like sit back and just let like things hang out in the air. You got to keep the pace going, attention span, right? Like people want their 42 minutes in their commercials and then they're done, right? Yep. So like you have a lot less time and a lot more pace in those typically in those kind of things, as opposed to an HBO show where you have in a full hour, an extra 18 minutes, and it's shot more like a film and they have a lot more money involved. And so you can, the tone and pace of that is different. So having a knowledge about how all those things fluctuate and shift, like we'll talk all about that. We help each other with auditions. He'll FaceTime me and I'll FaceTime him and we'll work on auditions together. And we've been doing that for many years. And yeah, we're super, super close. He's just such a good dude. And
does he live close by here too, or where's he?
Yeah, they're actually him and his wife are about to move to Nashville. They live in Vancouver right now. That's where they shoot Riverdale. But once that's ending in a few months in the summer, and so then they're gonna come to the States and
awesome
be pretty close. Yeah, about
so we're gonna have to take a boys trip to Nashville.
Yeah. We're going up there. We're going up there. Yeah. We'll go play some golf. We'll hit the town.
Yeah.
Hit up
That's what he was saying.
Broadway.
He said he was going to get into a nice country club up there. And
invite Nick come hang out with us too.
Yeah, and then he was saying find a good like halfway spot to also find a good course too. Yeah, which I'm sure there's some up there in like Chattanooga or like North Georgia. I think there's a few good courses.
Yeah, another good customer, Rick Barr. He lives next to the Jimmy John's guy.
That's right. Yeah. Rick.
We've got a lot of cool people in Nashville.
I'm sure. We got a lot of cool customers here too. In general,
really do.
Yeah.
As far as golf, where have you found you like to play the most
around here?
Yeah.
My favorite course I've played around here is Athens Country Club, but I've played. What did we play? We played Providence and Chimneys, Lake Creek. Road. What's that the one?
Bear Creek.
Bear Creek. Yeah, that's right. UGA. I've played UGA a good amount of times. UGA is solid.
It's long.
Have you played
long
Georgia
and narrow?
Club?
Huh? I haven't played Georgia Club. No.
So nice.
We got to go there. We can get you there.
Yeah, we should go there. I played the Legends at Chateau Lawn a couple times. I like that course.
That's nice.
It's a nice course. Yeah.
We'll get you up in the North Georgia mountains, both of y'all. Like Currey Club in Toccoa. There's several places up there.
Is that the one that you showed us that one day?
It was private for a long time.
That's just
it's
beautiful.
Public now.
Oh, cool.
There's a lot of really good scenery courses up in like Clayton.
I'm in.
Up in Clayton.
I'm in. Let's do it.
Be a good trip.
If he's in, I'm in. We'll just have to let Meg and the boys hang out with Kelsey and the kids.
I'll find a way to make it worth Meg's while.
Well, that's what I told Kelsey. I was like, with Casey and them moving up there to Nashville, and then well, I'll have to go up there, and then all the girls can hang out with the kids, and then me and you and Casey can go play golf. I'm pretty excited about it.
My buddy the other day was like, hey, when are we doing a Scotland golf trip? And we can go, and then we can end in Paris with the wives or something. And I was like, sure, man, that sounds great. But so I pitched it to my wife, and she was like, no, what do we do with the kids? And I was like, well, no, we bring the kids, and then I'll just go golf all day, every day. And she sent me a mildly inappropriate GIF of someone holding up a finger of a certain kind.
I mean, it would be a dream to like go play St. Andrews too.
Oh man,
yeah, wouldn't it?
Because we played it on his simulator and it whooped me, but it was so much fun. I mean, and obviously it's just a simulator, but like you felt like you were there for a second.
Yeah, just going to get to experience that atmosphere and that environment.
I mean, that's where golf started, right there. Is
having
St.
like
Andrews
40-yard putts.
Yeah, because some of those greens are doubled up.
Long.
Well, some of the greens you have like 2 different holes will have the same green, and it's just huge.
Like kind of like is it the 9th and 18th at UGA? I think they share the same green.
I haven't played UGA before.
Oh, you haven't?
I haven't.
Right there at the clubhouse.
I've heard it's beautiful though.
It is.
It's long and narrow.
They said it's a pretty hard, like just a tight course.
Yeah.
We should go play it again. I haven't played it in probably 10 years.
It's good.
Been a while.
The Bulldog tees. Those are the tips.
Is Athens Country Club nice?
Yeah. It is. Man.
Yeah, he's been around forever.
He's been talking about it for like a year.
Well, my father-in-law, like he used to work there when he was little.
Oh yeah,
really?
Yeah, it's been around for a long time.
Yeah, it's
a good course.
Parts of it look like when you're standing on some parts of it in the middle of the summer when it's like perfectly green and everything, it looks like Augusta.
Yeah.
There's some parts that look like Augusta. Yeah.
We were both talking about going to Augusta, and then he somehow got tickets and then went, and I was like, dude.
I did. Yeah.
How
did you
was
go
Augusta?
Last year?
I didn't last year. Okay. I've only been to practice rounds. I've never been on Thursday or later. Okay. I want to.
I put in for the lottery, though.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't get pulled yet, so we're still praying that
it's coming up pretty quick.
It'll be huge.
Yeah. I got invited to Saturday this year. Dude.
You did?
I went to Sunday last year, which was one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had.
I bet.
It was like the Super Bowl, the World Series, and I don't know, we'll throw someone else in there all at once.
I couldn't imagine Sunday there.
It was a perfect day. It was perfectly sunny and like 73.
Perfect.
And the cool thing is when you get there, you can set your chair down if you have one of the master's chairs.
Yep.
And it's like an honor system, like no one will move it. So you go pick a spot, and then so that's what we did. We went to Amen Corner, set it down right behind the 12th tee box, so you can watch them coming up on the par 5 and 11, and they walk over. You can see their tee shot, and then you can, so you get to kind of see 2 holes, and so we set it down, and then we just went to the range and to the putting green, just watched everyone warm up, and then we followed Tiger for the first 9 holes, and we left him at 8. So we saw him play 1, 3, 7, 8. I think. And then we ran over to catch him at 11. And then we just sat there and watched everyone go through 11. And I was really hoping we just didn't know if he was going to make the cut because, it was like his first Masters back. And then he made the cut. And I was like, dude, I went with my buddy, Matt, and we have to just follow him as much as we can. And
it's so hard to follow him because everybody's like we've done that before too, and you go a hole ahead, and there's people already there.
Yep.
It's just like it's tough to get close to.
I just want to make sure we saw and we basically got to see everybody play that day because we followed him for the first 9 holes, and then we just sat at 11 and watched everyone come through. And I think he teed off 4th or 5th, so I think we only missed like 3 groups that went through 11.
That's awesome.
It's awesome too because like all the food's so cheap. It's like $2 sandwiches and
it's good.
No phones.
No phones.
I didn't know that. So you leave your phone, and then the entire day you got no phones. Everyone's present for the entire day, and it's so cool because they have the old school not scorecards, boards, like the old school.
They change them manually.
Scoreboards. They change them manually.
Yeah.
So you're in the dark. You don't know what's going on until they change it. So you're seeing a guy start to take down, a 3 under, and what is he going to put up a 2 under? Is he going to put up a 5 under?
Yeah.
And so it's really captivating that way. But yeah, you don't really know. You have to ask people what's going on in other holes because you have no clue.
Did you watch Scotty on 18?
We watched Scotty on 16.
Okay.
And saw him and Cam Smith get through 16, and I think Cam Smith hit it. I can't remember what he did on 16, but we watched him go through 16, and then he was like, I think he was 3 or 4 ahead at that point. No, I think he was more than that. And then we were like, we better start heading out because 18 is going to be packed, and it's going to be tough getting out of here. So.
Yeah, but it's 18 at Augusta.
I know. We probably should, but dude. we wouldn't have been close. Like we would have been so far.
They were already set up so close by.
Oh yeah. I mean, people sit at 18 all day on Sunday. You know,
and the gift shop there is sick too, right?
Oh man, I spent way too much money at that gift shop.
You
wouldn't believe how much
you can't not spend too much money when you go in.
That's true.
He sent me a picture of everything laid out in his living room. It was, I mean, flags, polos, hats.
I think I spent $2,000 at the gift shop.
Yeah.
Bought me a couple polos. And
a lot of those were gifts that people paid me back for, but still, I was like, at the end of the day, I was like, I mean, I got the tickets for free, so
yeah,
justified.
They said that the gift shop does. I think they said they did $800,000 an hour.
Yeah,
and it was 60, I believe it because million over the course of the week.
I believe it because that's the only place you can get
Augusta National stuff. Yeah,
that marketing strategies works pretty well for them.
There you go.
And they do $60 million over the course of the week, just in the week.
But so that's a shortage, a deemed shortage of you can only get it this time, this weekend. That creates massive people.
Yeah, the demand there.
Yeah, the demand's crazy.
Yeah.
But just being inside at the Masters, being present there on a beautiful day, you really can't describe.
Dude,
you can't describe the feeling of how at peace you are. You know, you're just
absolutely at peace.
The no phone, just the beautiful, unbelievable scenery.
That is a perfect way to describe it.
I took my wife one year, and just for a practice round, even a practice round, she was like, "I've never been this relaxed in my entire life."
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I felt the exact. There is like a spiritual presence to it too. There's something. It felt. It's exactly right. That's a good way to put it. I didn't put it into that word. It felt just right.
You're at peace. You're just.
It's a crazy, crazy, amazing place. Yeah. Also, like everyone's super respectful. It's not like a wild crowd. Like you got it, Waste Management or whatever. It's a different.
Dude, Waste Management's legendary though.
Yeah, it is. That'd be fun.
Yeah, I mean, I want to go to that so bad, but it would be a dream to go to Augusta National. So great. I had a customer that. He said he owned a business for like 50-something years, and this dude was like, if you let me write your book of business, I'll let you go play Augusta with me every year. And he went and played, I think, 7 or 8 years in a row.
Wow.
That would be worth it. My buddy works one of the tee boxes we go to church together, and he works one of the tee boxes every year. He's been doing it for 10 years, and they don't get paid, but they get to play 18. Every year.
What?
One round of 18. That's their payment. Yeah. But it's like a list of 10,000 people just trying to get his job. Like they have resumes.
How do you get it?
He grew up in Augusta, not the club, but Augusta, Georgia, and a relative of his did it for a long time, and he got him in, and it's a long story because I was like, hey, can I do that? Can I volunteer for? And he was like, he looked at me and was like, no.
Can you refer me?
There's so many people who want to do that job. Yeah, he's like, I've been trying to get my best friend in for like 8 years, and he can't get him in. So, guys, I hate to end.
It's almost it's 2:29 right now. I think 2:30 you had to bounce.
Yep.
So I guess the biggest thing is we're checking your Gladiator out while you're here today.
Yep.
Getting that sweet and set. But living where you live, you're going to see this spring. There's no better place to be with your doors off. I mean, if you were in Atlanta, it just wouldn't have the same feel to it. If you were anywhere else, it wouldn't be the same. But riding down Highway 53, and I can show you a few of the little back roads near where we live that are fun to go ride on.
Let's do it. I actually haven't taken all 4 and the full top off yet, so that's what I'm doing this
That'll
summer.
Be a game changer.
Yeah.
This summer.
I don't think he's taken all 4 tires off road yet either.
Well, not on like an official off-roading trail, but I've gone and driven in some fields and gotten it pretty dirty. And
We'll have to go because they ride sometimes like once a month on Sundays here. And they
You would
go like
love
trail
that.
riding and stuff.
You would love it. You would love it.
Let's get
up in North Georgia.
Yeah,
it'd be super sick to go up there.
That would be awesome.
And it's not sketchy like I'm gonna tear this. I mean, there is if you go certain lines, but
right.
You can go around it.
But you're going through like creeks and just trails and stuff like that.
That sounds awesome.
Be a lot of fun. So it's our duty to show you the best parts of Georgia.
Let's do it.
Being here in Georgia.
Let's do it, man.
Cowboy boots.
Don't leave him hanging.
I'll never leave him hanging.
I know. Good guy.
Never.
Yep. So today was all about Corey Cott, but it's really just us three buddies just sitting here talking it. And I hope everyone enjoyed it today. We'll do another one probably because we only talked for an hour and a half, and Jesse and I can go for as long as.
Yeah.
I'll come back.
Yeah. Well, maybe
anything
even
you want to talk about that's in the pipeline. Anything real quick. Shout yourself out.
Just go check. Yeah. If you check out Equalizer on Sunday, and that'll be streaming on Paramount Plus if you miss it on Sunday live. And everything else is follow me on Insta, Nap on a Cott.
Yeah.
Nap on a Cott.
At Nap on a Cott, COTT, 2 T's. That's about it. Thanks for having me, guys.
It's been fun. Been a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Yeah. The aspect that we get to experience in the car business is, especially here, I think more so anywhere else, is we just get to meet so many great people.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Just getting to network. I think God puts people in our lives or puts interactions in our life for great things like this. So
100%.
Getting good people that surround us, our network as it grows.
Yep.
We want to have people like you in our circle.
Well, I feel the same way. Feel the same exact way. I really appreciate you guys, and I'm glad that I have a place like this so close. It's awesome.
No doubt.
Yeah.
It's been fun, boys.
All right.
Catch y'all next time.
See ya.
Peace out.